Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So as we can clearly see, I finally caved. I decided to embrace the fall vibes. I got this cute little pumpkin. I switched up my garland a little bit. I'm drinking some tea, which is like partially because it's cozy and tasty, but also because it's ragweed season and my throat is dying right now. Anyway, we are here today to talk about Pixi Beauty. I want to share the best and the worst of the products that I've tried from the brand. I did a video like this about Derma-E a couple months ago, and I thought I was going to do this one like maybe a few weeks later, but then, you know, life happened and here we are, it's September. But hopefully this will be one of those situations where it's worth the wait. Now, when I was putting together my notes for this video, I realized I've tried over 50 products from Pixi Beauty. Like, that's a lot. Now, honestly, I think the only reason that ended up happening is that I've received most of that product in PR. Pixi was one of the very first brands to start sending me PR packages, I think maybe about 3 years ago, so I was like barely even uploading to YouTube. I was primarily just blogging at that time. I was way smaller than I even am now, which is still very small, but y'all know I like to keep it real with you guys, so I want to tell you my honest thoughts on these products because not every single thing has worked out for me. Yes, there have been some things I really did love and that ended up being favorites. Honestly, I would say it's a pretty fair bell curve as far as the distribution goes. Most of the stuff is like, it's decent, it's good, I like it, but I don't like absolutely need it in my life. And then some things, they just kind of sucked, and some things were awesome. So I'm gonna dish the details on all those products today. And when I say all those products, I don't mean literally all 50 some odd of them, because we would probably be here all day long. But I'm gonna give you the highlights. We'll talk about some of Pixi's most popular products, my favorites, the ones that really didn't work out for me. And if I have some time for some of the other stuff, we'll throw that in too. Now, just as one little quick disclaimer to that point, I'm not going to talk about any of the Pixi Pretties collab products in this video. Now, I haven't actually tried any from this most recent round that just launched, so obviously I can't speak to any of those products. And the ones from last year, I did an entire dedicated video on. So if you want to hear my thoughts on those products, because they are still available on the Pixi website, and I think you can find some of them discounted at like TJ Maxx and Target and whatnot. So if you want to hear about those products, I will link that video for you guys up in the cards. But I figured it made sense for the purpose of today's video to focus on like their core line of products. Okay, so before I get into like the individual product reviews, I want to share just a little bit about the brand itself. So Pixi's actually been around for over 20 years. It was founded by Petra Strand, and I believe their flagship store is in the UK. So even though they are very widely available here in the United States, they were actually created across the pond. They're a cruelty-free brand, and I would consider them drugstore-ish. So they are carried here in the US at Target. They now are also available at Kohl's, or you can order them directly from like the Pixi website. And I say drugstore-ish because their price point is a little higher than your standard like big name drugstore brands like Maybelline, CoverGirl, Revlon, etc. Although, to be perfectly honest, I feel like drugstore prices have really gone up over the last couple of years. Like, if I think of a brand like L'Oreal, for example, I am sure there are some L'Oreal makeup and skincare products that are as expensive as Pixi's or more. All right, so now that I've created, the longest intro ever, let's get into the actual products themselves. We'll kick things off on a positive note. I'll share the things I love most first. We'll talk about some makeup, and we'll talk about some skincare, and then we'll get into the duds. So here's the thing about Pixi makeup. I feel like it's important to kind of keep Pixi's aesthetic in mind when you're trying to decide whether or not their makeup is right for your collection. I think it's gotten not the best reputation because I think the expectations of how it's going to perform are like a little unfairly skewed. If you look at all like Pixi's promotional materials and whatnot, their Instagram, like they have a very feminine, fresh-faced, natural aesthetic. I think their products are really targeted at like average makeup wearers. That is, people that maybe wear a smoky eye 3 times a year but are primarily just looking for makeup that they can wear every day to work, to school, that doesn't take a really long time and that doesn't make them look like super done up but is pretty. So if that's you, like if that's what you want out of your makeup, I think the products I'm about to recommend you'll really like. And there is some room with some of these things for some more creativity and some more glam looks. Like I'm wearing quite a few Pixi products on my face right now. We'll get into that in a minute. But if your aesthetic personally with makeup is very bold, colorful, artistic, etc., I don't know that Pixi is gonna be the brand makeup-wise that will speak to you the most. So I think probably one of the most, if not the most popular makeup product that Pixi has launched, at least as far as what's talked about here on YouTube, is their glowy Gossamer Duo. And this is one of my favorite highlights. I think it is absolutely stunning. It's what I'm wearing on my cheeks right now, and as you can see, it gives the skin this just like glassy, wet, gorgeous glow. And I think what I like most about this highlight is the texture. So it's kind of one of those like baked gelée formulas, so it feels very stiff in the pan, but not like scratchy or anything like that. It's just very hard pressed to the point where when you swirl a brush in here, there is like zero fallout. And it's funny because you'll like look at your brush and think to yourself like, am I actually picking up any product? But when you buff it onto the skin, the shine definitely appears. So the result that it gives on the skin, it's not thick and like overly metallic. Like there are definitely some highlights that have a very creamy, thick consistency to them, and if you're not careful when you apply them, they can look just like a giant metallic stripe, or they just look like they're sitting on top of the skin, and that's not what this product is at all. This to me is a highlight that really becomes one with your makeup because it's so light, it's so thin, but it's still super, super reflective. Needless to say, this is one of my favorite highlights in my collection. I reach for it time and time again. Now, there are 2 shade varieties available of this, and each one has 2 different colors in the compact. I prefer Subtle Sunrise, which is this one, which to me just leans slightly darker and slightly more warm toned than the other one, which is called Delicate Dew. And since I have slightly more warm undertones to my skin, I just feel like this duo works better for me. I typically actually mix both shades together. I just swirl my brush in both pans and then apply it, and this is the effect that I get, and I think it's really, really stunning. Another makeup product that I think has garnered a bit of hype here on YouTube, and for good reason, are the liquid fairy lights. So these are Pixi's liquid glitter eyeshadows that are sort of like a dupe for the Stila glittering glows. I have 5 out of the 7 shades. The 2 that I'm missing are the colorful ones that they have launched more recently. One is kind of like a powder blue, the other one is Pixi green, so very similar to the color of these caps. But as you can see, the rest of your offerings here are pretty much neutral, which again, I think for the average person, if you were gonna incorporate a glitter eyeshadow into your makeup look, these are probably the safest kinds of shades to reach for. So I'm actually wearing the shade Rose Gold on my lids right now, layered over some Pixi eyeshadows, which we're gonna get to momentarily. But this is probably my most worn shade just because I feel like this color is so everyday flattering. It's a really pretty rose gold with little silver glitters in it, and I think it's just really light reflective and super pretty on the eyes. But as far as sparkle, longevity, etc., they're pretty similar to the Stilas for a lot less money. Now, a couple of things to note with these guys. Not all of the shades have an opaque base. I feel like Passion Light has the most color underneath the glitter. Like you could maybe get away with wearing this guy without anything underneath it. In general though, I would recommend layering these over a powder eyeshadow. I think they're more toppers than they are standalone products. And while you can definitely apply them with the applicator, so they have one of those paddle style applicators, so it's pretty easy to just swipe this on directly from the tube. I personally like to go in and scrape product off the dough foot on like a little small flat brush and then apply it to my lids that way. I don't love to like gunk my applicators up a lot, especially if I do have eyeshadow already on my lid. So that way I just get the glitter on the brush, then I can kind of smooth things around, pat it on, get it exactly where I want it, and I don't ruin my product. So speaking of Pixi eyeshadows, I actually really, really like their formula a lot. But again, I feel like you need to have your expectations right with these guys because they are not the most ultra saturated eyeshadows you're ever going to use. The metallic shades are actually very foiled and very shiny. It's I guess more the mattes that I'm specifically talking about. They are much more buildable. They don't go on crazy pigmented, but you can layer them up. So while I think some people may not like that, I would actually say it makes them much more friendly to the average person that may not experiment with dark colors and, you know, like intense saturated eyeshadows all that often. So on my eyes today, I'm wearing this guy, which is one of the Eye Reflections palettes in the shade Natural Beauty. And this is a great everyday cool toned eyeshadow palette. So you've got a nice balance of textures in here as well as light and dark shades. But even like this dark brown up here, it's what I used to deepen up my crease in the outer corner of my eye. And it doesn't go on insanely dark, but I kind of like that. I feel like this allows you to create a smoky eye so easily. Like if you've ever struggled with buffing out black shadow, like trying to recreate a smoky eye and you feel like you look like a raccoon, this palette will be your friend. And as I mentioned, the metallics in here are just like, oh my God, they're so stunning. This one is probably my favorite shade in the whole palette. It's a little bit chunky, but like the shine that it gives, and it has like tiny micro sparkle infused throughout. Oh my God, it is so stunning all over the lid. And then like this shade right here is actually what I'm wearing on my lid today underneath the glitter. And as you can see, it's just like super smooth and super shiny, like a really gorgeous rose gold kind of color. And then just so you guys can see, this is the dark matte I was talking about. So like, it's pretty smooth, it's not patchy, it's just not like insanely intense. So for $24, I feel like these palettes are actually pretty reasonable. You get 12 pans in here, each one is a really decent size. The packaging on this is kind of flimsy, it's not like the best, and no, you're not getting a mirror in here, but I feel like it's still a decent value for the product itself. Another eye product I absolutely love from Pixi are their Endless Silky Eye Pens, which I think is such a confusing name because they are not pens, they're pencils, but you know, I digress. So these are traditional wooden pencils. You do have to sharpen them, but it's worth the extra effort because they are super creamy, and once they set, they don't move. They also come in a lot of fun colors, and not like bright neon colors, but like wearable jewel tone colors. So at this point, I have 3 in my collection. I used to have all of them, but I just felt like that was a little overkill. So I have the shade Black Blue, which is a navy with a satin finish. Like, it's not super shiny, but it gives you a little bit of a sheen. Then I have Matte Khaki, which I actually feel like I really need to bust out this fall. It's a gorgeous olive. I feel like there are a lot of palettes that have been coming out that this would complement, so looking forward to using this guy. And then my most loved shade, honestly this may be my favorite eyeliner of my entire collection, I've used this so much, is the shade Matte Mulberry. This is what is in my waterline right now, and it is like the perfect everyday liner. Honestly, I think black is just a little harsh for every day. I just find it to look like a little too much, especially if you're wearing a more neutral eye. But this color right here, like, it adds the depth, it adds the definition to your lash line, but it's not too dramatic. And it's not just brown, it's like a plummy brown. It's a little more cool, it's a little more like slightly purple, but it's also not purple, so it's very wearable. It's just a very unique and really pretty shade. So these pencils are really nice in that you can smudge them out. Like, they definitely stay creamy for a little while. They go into the waterline really nicely. They show up with no tugging. But then once they set, like they're in there pretty solidly. Now, I don't have particularly watery eyes, so I can't really speak to how well these hold up as far as being waterproof. I haven't noticed them running or anything like that on my eyes, but I may not be the best judge of that. And then the last makeup product I want to talk about are Pixi's Mattelast liquid lipsticks. Now, I kind of feel like calling these a favorite is not entirely fair, because I can't say that any matte liquid lipstick has been my favorite lip product to wear as per late. I've kind of been more on a gloss kick. But as far as liquid lipsticks go, I do think this formula is very nice. So right now I'm wearing the shade Matte Beige. I've obviously been drinking my tea for a while, so it's starting to wear off a little bit, but for the most part, these dry down completely and are relatively transfer proof. Like, I'll do a quick kiss test for you guys. Let's see. So like a teeny little bit of transfer, but like not that bad. Now they are matte, so they do feel a little drying on the lips, but they're definitely not the worst I've ever used. And I also don't feel like they're particularly flaky or crumbly. Like, I don't usually end up with little liquid lipstick bits on my chin, which is something that drives me absolutely nuts. And I think what helps is that the formula is very pigmented, but also very thin and liquidy. So you don't have to like layer it on. It's not patchy at all. You can kind of do like one good swipe on the bottom lip and you'll get the full color. And the applicator that's in here is nice. It's got that kind of pointed tip to it, so you can easily draw out your lip line. So if matte liquid lipsticks are your thing, you want something that's going to be very long wearing on your lips, I do think this is a nice formula. They're $14 a piece, which is, again, not outrageous, but not like the most affordable thing ever. Honestly, I think the Physicians Formula Healthy Lip liquid lipsticks are still my all-time favorite. Like, they're just such a good price and such a good formula. So like, that will always be my #1 recommendation, but I don't think these are bad. And if you particularly like one of the shades in this range and you wanted to pick it up, I think as long as you know what you're in for, you won't be disappointed. So let's switch gears and talk about some skincare. So I think probably Pixi's like most famous product, like the thing they are most well known for in general, is their Glow Tonic. And this is my big mama bottle. So every year Pixi sends people on their PR list a customized giant bottle of Glow Tonic. I am still trying to get through the one that I had from a couple of years ago. But this is a glycolic acid infused toner. So it's supposed to help to gently chemically exfoliate the skin, help with that cell renewal turnover process, which leaves your skin looking nice and glowy. Now, the thing I love most about Pixi's tonics, which are essentially just toners, is that they're all alcohol free. If there is one thing I can implore you to do, it is to not use a toner with denatured alcohol in it. Oh my goodness, it is so bad for your skin, especially considering that that's like the first thing you do after cleansing. Like, there's nothing to be a barrier between your skin and it. It's just going to destroy your skin's natural barrier. So these are all alcohol free, and in addition to the Glow Tonic, they also have a vitamin C tonic and a rose tonic, and they also have a retinol tonic, but I have not tried that one yet. Now, I do really like the Glow Tonic, and this was obviously the one that I started out with. But now that I have tried the other two, I think my actual favorite is the Rose Tonic, just because this one is super gentle and like extra hydrating for the skin. With all my other skincare, I try to be a little bit careful about not going overboard with exfoliation. So like right now I'm testing out a retinol product at nighttime, so I haven't been also using an AHA toner because I just don't want to like overdo it with my face. But usually this is something I found, like, you can use it every day and you theoretically could use it twice a day every day, but I find it to be like almost a little much for my skin. So I normally, when I wasn't using retinol, was just using this at bedtime, and that was nice for me. And then I would use the Rose Tonic in the mornings, just because this doesn't have any kind of fruit acids or anything like that in it. Now, this vitamin C tonic here, I feel mixed about. I really like the way this smells. It's very nice and citrusy. The Glow Tonic, it kind of has like a neutral scent. Like, it definitely has a scent to it, but I can't exactly put my finger on what it is. It's not really fruity, it's not really spa-like, it's just kind of clean and pleasant. This guy obviously smells like roses, which is a polarizing thing. You'll either really like that or you won't. But the vitamin C tonic, I think my issue with this is that I kind of feel a little dubious about how much actual vitamin C benefit you get out of this product. It's in a clear bottle, and we all know that vitamin C is very photo unstable, so when it's exposed to light, it breaks down really quickly, which leads me to believe there's really not very much actual vitamin C in this product. It also has a lot of citrus fruit waters and extracts in it, which I've heard mixed things about how good they are for your skin. So if I was to recommend of the three, I would say if you want the extra exfoliation, go with the Glow Tonic. If you have dry skin, you want more just like hydration and rebalancing, and you can handle the rose, go with the Rose Tonic. It's not that I necessarily think the vitamin C tonic is bad, I just don't think that it gives your skin as many benefits as the other two do. Now, on the topic of rose, I think of all of Pixi's lines, because within their Skin Treats collection, they have different lines of products. So obviously, as you guys can tell, they have a vitamin C collection, they have a rose collection, they also have like now a whole Glow Tonic inspired collection. I think they have a retinol collection, which I haven't tried yet. But of the collections I personally tried, the Rose one is my favorite. I think the formulations in that line, the products in that line are really nice. And then within that line, I think my 3 favorite products are the Rose Cream Cleanser, the Rose Ceramide Cream, and the Rose Oil Blend. So as you can clearly see, I've almost finished my Rose Cream Cleanser. It's on its last leg. This is what I use as my morning cleanser. It's clay-based, but it's also kind of a cream cleanser, so it's like both hydrating and detoxifying at the same time. And I just think this guy is ideal for morning cleansing because you don't need to worry about makeup removal. I don't think this would be the best for that purpose. It doesn't foam or anything like that. It's just, again, a very rich, weird hybrid of a cream and a clay, and it just gets, you know, all the residual skincare and dirt and whatnot off of your face, but it leaves your skin feeling really soft and hydrated and not stripped like at all. And then the Rose Ceramide Cream was sort of like an unexpected favorite of mine because I have very oily skin, and moisturizers and they can be a little tricky for me. Some things are just too heavy, they clog my pores, they make me into even more of a greasy mess. And when I read this bottle, it says down here in little letters, intensive moisturizer. I was kind of like, I don't know. The back of the packaging says ultra rich moisture cream, great for dry and dehydrated skin, and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be for me. But it turned out to be really lovely and not overly greasy like at all. So if I remember correctly, ceramides I think are supposed to be protective for the skin and help to like lock in moisture. So they're really, really great for people who have especially dry skin. But something I've come to learn is that even if your skin is oily, it can still be dehydrated. So it can be important to use a moisturizer that helps your skin retain moisture, so that way you actually will crank out less sebum. And I feel like this guy is just that. It's not a really thick, balmy moisturizer. It's quite thin and lotiony. It sinks really nicely into the skin, but it feels luxurious. Like it has a nice silkiness to the texture of it, and it also smells really nice. Like it's actually not straight up rose to me. It's almost slightly more fruity, which I think would make it like more palatable if you were someone that is not like a big rose fan. Would I use it under makeup? For my skin type, probably not. I think it might be a little much, especially right now, like while my skin is extra super oily. Maybe in the dead of winter when heat is blasting and my skin is extra dehydrated, I could use this as a daytime moisturizer, but I typically reserve it for bedtime. Although if you had dry skin, I think this would be great for under makeup because it's not super heavy and greasy. And then the Rose Oil Blend I think is such a nice facial oil. Again, with my oily skin, I don't use oils a ton. Typically, I will use them like in lieu of a moisturizer, especially at bedtime if I just feel like switching things up and want to like give my skin a little extra nourishment. But if you have dry skin, they are great to like boost your moisturizer with, so you can add a little bit of them to your existing like night cream or day cream, or you can actually mix them into your foundations to make them more dewy and hydrating. And this one I think just has a really nice blend of oils in it. It's got a sweet almond oil base, and then the second ingredient is rosehip oil, both of which are supposed to be very lightweight and non-pore clogging, but really nourishing to the skin. It does smell pretty strongly of rose, so more so than like the Rose Ceramide Cream. If you can't deal with that rose scent, this may be too much for you. But if you're a rose fan, I think you will find this to be like a total treat. Now, as far as like masks and weekly treatments go, there are a lot of decent ones from Pixi that I like this Glow Mud mask I'm really into. I think this is something you can find though in a lot of different brands. Like Derma-E also has a mud mask that I also really like. So this, while I enjoy it, isn't necessarily something that like I would recommend over all of their other skincare. I think their most unique and effective treatment type product is their peel and polish. This stuff is intense. If you have super sensitive skin, I would use it with caution. But if you want like a really effective exfoliant, this guy has your back. So the peel and polish is a like hybrid chemical and physical exfoliant. So the way you use this product is you put a thin layer on clean skin and you let it sit for like 2 minutes. and it tingles. Like there's some burning going on because it's got a bunch of fruit enzymes in it that help to like break down the dead skin on your face. So it doesn't feel the best, but it's not the worst I've ever used either. Then after you let it sit, you go and massage the physical exfoliant into your skin, and that really sloughs off all of the dead cells, and then you rinse it off and your face is super, super smooth. Again, 1 tube of this will last you a really long time because you're only supposed to use it like 2 to 3 times a week, and you don't need a lot of product to cover your entire face and neck. So I feel like even though this guy I think is $24, so it's like a little bit of an investment if you're used to drugstore skincare prices, it's not something you're gonna need to buy a new tube of every month. And then finally, this is more of like a floofy product, if you will. Like it's not something that I think you need to have in your collection, but if you were looking for this type of product, I think Pixi did a really good job with it. And those are their DetoxifEYE Depuffing Eye Patches. So these are like those little, eye gel things you put under your under eyes. They are green and sparkly. They're actually kind of cute. And to me, I feel like eye patches are not exactly like a powerhouse skincare. Like I would say if you are looking to try to minimize fine lines, etc. long term, you're probably better off investing in an eye cream. These to me are more about a temporary effect, especially if you have dryness in your under eye area. Before you put on makeup, these are really great prep just because they're gonna hydrate that area really nicely, kind of plump things up. They also will help to like depuff, minimize redness. If you are also dealing with fall allergies right now, like these are really great for kind of calming all that irritation down. But I don't think you're gonna see like lasting visible results using this kind of product. That being said, if you're gonna invest in some eye gels, I really love the fact that these come in a jar. You get 30 pairs in here. So it ends up working out to being like 80 cents per pair, which is very reasonable because a lot of other brands, their eye masks, their little eye gels come in individual use foil packets, and they may retail from like on the cheap side, $2 to $3 a pair, or like as much as like $5 or $6 a pair. So if you want more bang for your buck, you're better off going this way, getting 30 pairs worth in one jar. That way it'll last you a while. Obviously, if you're using them every day, you're gonna burn through them pretty quickly. But if you just want to use them for special occasions, like if you're the kind of person that typically only gets glammed up when you're going out, maybe on the weekends or something like that, it is a really nice pre-makeup prep. Also, I bet you could put these in your refrigerator and like keep them stored there, and then they would be extra cool and refreshing feeling on your under eyes. I should probably do that. That actually sounds amazing. So before I move on to the duds, I want to share like one last bonus thing that I honestly really like. So this little travel bag I received as part of PR. So Pixi sent this to a bunch of people with like their entire rose collection inside of it. And since then, it has become my toiletries bag whenever I travel. And I have to say, I actually freaking really like this thing. So it zips closed, and obviously like it has handles here. And then inside it unfolds, and what's really nice is it has a little hook at the top so you can hang this like on the back of a door, but you have 2 big zippered compartments in here. It's all like that plasticky material so you can easily wipe it clean, and I feel like it's perfect. I can store all of my things that I need in here for whenever I'm traveling, and usually what I do honestly is just leave this packed 24/7 so I never have to think about what I need when I'm going somewhere for the weekend. I just grab this and throw it into my like weekender bag. So I was curious to see like if you can actually get this, and you can. So this is available for purchase on the Pixi website. It's $32, which when I first saw that, my initial reaction was like, that's kind of expensive. But then I like went onto the Target website and onto the Ulta website, and I looked up other bags actually like similar to this, and like the Sonia Kashuk ones were like the same price. At the Tartan and Twine ones at Ulta are like $48. And I all of a sudden was like, okay, well maybe it's not that unreasonably priced. I think I'm just cheap. So either way, if you are in need of like a travel bag, I actually do really like this one. I think the rose pattern on it is super cute, and I definitely do get a ton of use out of it. So now let's move into the duds, the things from Pixi that I've tried that just, they have not worked for me. So probably the thing from Pixi that's disappointed me most, like overall are their mascaras. I have yet to find a Pixi mascara that I really love. All the ones I've tried so far have basically done like nothing for my lashes. I try to build them up, I feel like nothing is sticking. The bristles on the wand maybe are just like too sparse, like it just doesn't give me enough volume, enough length. Like in general, I can actually go pretty natural with my makeup, but I like full glam lashes. I have big eyes and short eyelashes, so I need all the help I can get in that department. The one thing I tried that I did like was their lash primer. I actually think their lash primer worked better than any of their mascaras. That actually like made my lashes very black and made them look a little bit thicker. Like I could wear it by itself and I thought it looked pretty good, and it definitely worked nicely as a primer underneath other mascaras. But the regular old mascaras I just think are not worth the money, like at all. There are so many great drugstore mascaras out there, from Essence, from L'Oreal, from Maybelline. Like I would recommend one of those 100 times over than any of Pixi's mascaras. Like I think they're just steer clear of them. They're not that great. The second thing that really disappointed me were their makeup melting cleansing cloths. So those actually came in the Rose bag I just showed you guys. They sent like a little travel pack of them with the whole Rose collection, and they did not remove makeup well at all, unfortunately. I felt like they were a little dry, so they just didn't have enough product on them to like effectively break down your makeup. I felt like they just kind of smeared things around a little bit. They also weren't particularly large, and I found them to be a little irritating to my eyes. Part of it was probably that like I probably had to rub for a while to feel like I was getting any of my eye makeup off, and it wasn't a good experience. Also, they're kind of expensive. Like a full-size pack is $10. So for them to not work really well, also to me, is like they're entirely not worth the price. The e.l.f. Hydrating Water Face Wipes are like $4 and they work so much better. And then these are kind of like a love-hate thing, because I think the actual product itself is great. This is more of a packaging dud than anything else. I have had so many issues with the nozzles on Pixi sprays that I hesitate to recommend them. So like this is their makeup fixing mist, which I actually think is a really nice setting spray. It's not overly drying on the skin. It kind of locks your makeup in, but also kind of gives you like a more natural skin-like finish. But let's see what it does today, because this is honestly my issue. Sometimes they spray beautifully. Sometimes they squirt you with a jet stream in the face, and it's kind of a surprise what kind of day it's going to be every time I reach for this guy. Okay, so literally right now, it is not spraying at all. Like I'm trying to pump it, and it's not working. That's new. So let's see how this guy works. This is the Rose Glow Mist with 7 flower oils. This guy smells lovely, smells like roses. I would not use this more as a setting spray on my face because it's infused with a bunch of oils. This would be, to me, more of a skin prep, but we'll just give it a spray and see what happens. Okay, so that one, beautiful, perfect. So as you can see, on a good day, these nozzles have the potential to be really nice. They also get clogged fairly easily. Like, I've kind of gotten this one to start spraying now, but I don't know if you guys can see that. Now it's spraying, but like more like a jet stream. It's not as nice of a fine mist. So that infuriates me a little bit because I think this product is pretty good. So if I could actually functionally use it, I would be likely to recommend it. I think you probably won't have the same issue with the Rose Glow Mist just because this is not a setting spray. It's infused with oils, and I don't think the nozzle is as likely to get clogged as this is. This has more of almost like a hairspray-like texture to it. Like I can just feel it on my fingers, and it's a little bit sticky. So buyer beware if you were considering the makeup fixing mist. The nozzle on this guy is not so great. And then the final 2 products I actually don't have anymore because I decluttered them. So the first is the PixiGlow Cakes. So these came out, I think, at the beginning of this year, and I did receive both shades in PR, and I ended up decluttering both of them because I found they both had kind of the same issue for my skin tone. They just looked way too frosty, way too icy, and it just did not complement my undertones at all. So the Glow Cakes are those like ombre blushes, so they kind of go from a blushy bronzer shade to a highlight on the other end. One was slightly more neutral, the other one was more of like a berry pink shade, but I found in general with both glow cakes, the level of pigmentation on them was not super high. They had a lot more shine than color. So even if I was going in with the blush side, it was such a glowy blush that it just looked like shine on my face, and because the undertone of both of them was a little more white frosty, it didn't look really flattering on my skin. And then finally is the Pixi Eye Bright Liner. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I think I tried a couple of their automatic pencils and I don't think I liked any of them. I highly prefer the Endless Silky eye pens that you have to sharpen. For whatever reason, those twist up pencils, like I could not get them to show up in my waterline. And the Eye Bright Liner specifically, like that's literally where it's designed to go. It's supposed to give you that nude brightening effect in your waterline, and like to me, if I even got it to show up, it would be gone in like 15 minutes. It would just fade off completely. It had no staying power, so that really disappointed me. And it's funny because the reviews on the Pixi website seem fairly positive. Like it seems to be working for some people, but for me personally, I did not feel like they did what they were supposed to do at all. All right, guys, so I think that is it. Those are all the products from Pixi Beauty that I wanted to dish on today. If there was something that I did not mention that you are curious about, be sure to leave a comment down below. If I have tried that product, I will leave you my feedback on it. I obviously haven't tried everything from the brand because they've got a lot of their skincare and in their makeup, but as I mentioned before, I've tried 50 products and we didn't talk about 50 today, so let me know if there's something you want to hear about. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you're enjoying these brand roundups, be sure to give this one a thumbs up. I always really appreciate your feedback. And let me know if there's a particular brand you'd like me to do a video like this on next. And of course, if this was your first time here or you're not already subscribed, I hope you will consider clicking that button before you go so we can hang out again in the future. So yeah, on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go because I'm getting the blinking red light of death and my battery's about to die, but I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.